question?
Question is about lineage and where certain traditions have existed for a long time and have gathered, as you said, momentum.
Practice momentum over the ages.
Yeah.
Force, a lot of force. That's what practice is. The same as anything you do in practice. It's supposed to be music too, right? You're supposed to have this, force about your music and your presence, right? Your expression. It's all the same thing, like blood, history. So yeah, there's a lot of force there, right? Good force. Good force. Especially the past 50 years. It had to die, aspects of it had to die and be reborn. Certain aspects had to survive the changes. Right? Without getting into the political story, that's already well known for those who need to see that. So the question is... You asked earlier who needs it.
Yeah.
Well, the whole world needs it. The whole world needs the lineage. See? The whole world needs enlightenment practiced. The whole world needs enlightened beings. See? They are part of the magical balance. See? The display of enlightenment. See? Which is humorous and beyond the point is madness. But it has its place because it's based upon hard practice and devotion. So we need more of that. May not ever be enough here on the planet to balance out what is also simultaneously occurring on the planet as part of that balance of darkness. The complete radical opposite of the Dhamma. You have the A-Dhamma, the no Dhamma. You have demons out here. I've already talked about this in other earlier talks. They're here, and the great balance is also practice.
So it may appear as though you don't come from a lineage, like this is a sort of spontaneously arising Huda or Heartfire sound thing.
That's related to my musical practice or my musical inheritance. So the lineage there was a Caribbean sort of drum lineage, basically. But adding to that, spiritualist karma, right? Christian spiritualist karma, where you have some of these leaders and they have their shamans. I was born to shamans, so the advantage I have is pretty great. I was part of that practice, part of that intelligence, part of that process of dealing with the spirits and subtle energies, subtle entities, being very familiar with that from early on. In fact, when my elders came to see me, often at my mother's house, they were always asking me if I was seeing any spirits, and that was important for them to hear what I had to say about that. So he said, I'm not saying that's the Dharma, but that's part of the Dharma. It's part of the Dharma. A very critical part of the Dharma, because without that fact and without that problem, Padmasambhava would not have been called to Tibet to purify and Buddhatize Tibet.
In terms of your function as a teacher, how does one know that perhaps you are an appropriate teacher for them or not really?
It's up to the people. How do people know that I'm an appropriate musician or not? Or an appropriate human or not? Who knows? It depends on your experience of what it is. So the lineage, because we're dealing with human nature, is not the answer to all the problems, so people don't know. You have a lot of people who fall from the path, from the highest levels. They need to step up again, so it's not... It's whatever you know that you have to go with, whatever works for you. So it's not about any self. It's about what it is for the individual. I'm just here. I'm not out there, so to speak. I'm here. On occasion, I'm out there playing jazz with the boys for fun, and serious fun at that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How is what you're playing or doing related to, say, Buddhism?
Well, it has to do with realization. Yeah. It's all about realization. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's all about discipline and realization. Yeah. Why? Because Buddhism's about breathing. Life is about breathing. Mm-hmm. So all the different schools of yoga I practiced with when I was younger, they're all part of the same thing. Jnana Yoga, Kundalini Yoga, Hatha Yoga, Mantra Yoga, long list, Bhakti Yoga. I mean, who cares? The credentials, that wallet stuff. No, it's what's in the heart. It's not your background. It's not what associations or affiliations you have. It's kind of like academic approach, right? It's what you do with that. The writings speak for themselves. The music speaks for itself. You're being here for 8 years, it speaks for itself. Why are you here? We should be drilling you. But what I was saying earlier is that even at the lowest end, say, at the lowest, the least, right, the least of us. Say, let's say I was the least of us. The teaching's alive here, obviously. It's in the speech. It's in the taste. It's in the flavor of what's going on. It's all about realization and practicing self-transcending spiritual practice. So I wouldn't even call that Buddhism, because beyond that we have Humanism. So that, not what you can do relative to that, but what you can do as a musician relative to what you hear and how you convert that into spiritual practice. Mm-hmm.
How is it that somebody can...
First up, nobody knows. Nobody knows, really.
Yeah.
Right. Nobody knows how anything happens with anybody else, so to speak. Or when things happen, or what happens to them. I had to be kicked into, right, the initiation twice. I had to be pushed into Buddhist initiations, but it shows you what the lead-up must have been for me. Right? Mm-hmm. I had no interest in the institutional side of it whatsoever. And all of a sudden, I'm pushed into it. Boom, I'm standing in front of Trungpa and the Karmapa, 16 Karmapa, among others. It was a shock. But then what happened then, which is really to your question, because you asked the question about how, blah, 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 blah. How then, after being there was a fallback. Then I started realizing that I had dreams about that. I was having a jazz day that day. And all of a sudden, kaplunk, I'm going to come up and life over. Remember this? Boom. Shock. And it was an adjustment. I don't think I've recovered from it yet, Madam speaking. But it's not about that. It's not about him. It's about the Dhamma. It's about particulars. His channel. All of them are channels for something. Right, what they call it, Vidyadhara, Shambhala, right, enlightenment, Buddha realization, and so on. That's the thing. That's what the Guru has to put you on, push you back into. Is what the thing is, not what he is necessarily, unless it's the thing that's talking through him or her, and then that's what the thing is. It's not temporal. It's beyond that. It's not appearance. It's beyond that. So when you go beyond appearance, most of your questions just disappear. Mm-hmm. Officially, Yeah. Yeah.
Can one actually bypass their karma?
It depends on what you mean by their karma.
So
Because people may be bypassing their karma by another term that could be used, avoiding what practices. We can see that as a superficial analysis. But we can't see into the person's psychic karma to determine what's causing that to happen. And if what's causing that to happen is actually saving their life instead of killing them. So having dealt with all of those complexities from my own basis is pretty common. I say, better not to go there or probe too deeply, because there may not be a tangible answer for anybody about certain things, right? Because there's just too many layers, too much karma, too much consciousness. And that's what spiritual training is about. Stopping and trying to grasp, not cling to, but grasp the moment of transcendence. So, try to grasp the moment of enlightenment in this. Ha ha. The script is birth. Birth. Boom. Yeah. And that means ancestry. Boom. Lineage. Right? Primary lineage. Birth line. Parents. Their ancestry. Their history. Boom. That's it. That's the lineage. That's the main lineage. See? And that's the basis for the spiritual lineage. Right? The factual blood lineage. And so that is an empowerment. Birth is an empowerment into this world, let's say universe, that enables you to apply what you've been given or what you are created of relative to the blood and its purpose. And you have to find out what your function is relative to that, and satisfying that karmic debt, and satisfying any other things that you feel beyond that, right? That you're here to fulfill, realize, or complete. And we are all one big, crazy family of beings. And a person can have an awakening right in the middle of combat, last place. You may think about anything spiritual or holy or whatever, but why not? Right? You're on the graveyard, your battlefield is a graveyard. Why not there? What isn't enlightenment? See? Who is not the Buddha? Right? If not the enemy. Right? It's all the Buddha. The time is the Buddha. Everything is Buddha. The whole thing was set up by the Buddha, the great intelligence, right? The universe itself, the total picture of the reality itself. See? And so the awakening is every moment. It's not just one final sort of like slide out and you go into the big waters from the highest point in the slide, right? No, it's every moment before that, every moment doing it, and every moment after that is the same. You need to fathom and complete that in yourself. Yeah, the Buddha you're looking for is what's looking over here. The Buddha you're ever seeking is you, right? Your innermost you, not just your superficial, silly, crazy human personality, egoically speaking, you. No, deeper levels, it's more inner you, right? Which the quieting down, the quelling down of neurosis practice of sitting is supposed to access for the individual, or at least make it easier for you to access. So you can sit in it like a pond, a nice, warm water pond, and you just, feeling so great. Well, that's bringing you to what it is. So, and sometimes that's the best way to get to it, but for other people, shock is even best. Disaster and tragedy is even best. That's why I brought up the idea of combat. Right. You're sharp as a razor under those conditions. So, worst conditions, best conditions. Stress conditions, alert conditions, razor sharp conditions. Fearful, frightening, razor sharp. At the edge of death, right? Living right at the edge of death, sharp. So we talk about the institution version of it, sitting in a nice, luxurious cushion in a great hall. That's idealistic. It's perfect. Some can get there and some are there and others never see anything like that. Because where they are is the real. What they're going through is the temple. Where you are is the temple. Right. Who's watching things is the Buddha. Right? The Buddha's taking notes all the time. And your function then is to be 100% awake to all of it. See? Precisely, exactly in that moment, as now. Just that. Then there is life changes, life events as guru. See? And you have disasters as transmission and initiation. Punch in the face, whacked over the head with a bat. Wow, what was that? Guru. Right. And there is also the flip side of that, the gentle, soft, delicate, sweet, say, perfumey, say, humble side. But the fierce side is also the same thing. Humble fierceness. Fierce humility. So then we see life is the guru. Life is the temple. Life is the Buddha. It is that. It is the path, it is the way, it is the basis, it's the goal. It's already here. And it's already gone. We're talking about getting to the path and getting into the practice. And so, what kind of questions show up when it's already done? Gati, gati. Gati. Paragati. Right? Parasamgati. Paragati, parasamgati, bodhisattva. Gone, beyond. Boom. What up then? Who and where's the Buddha in that case? What is it? You're left holding what at that point? Good. Yeah. See, even when the mediums would come in, give my mother readings about my incarnation, let's say, they would say, oh, he's with the Chinese. I wasn't with the Chinese, I was with Puerto Ricans. Say, oh, he's with the monks. I wasn't with any monks. I was with my family. And then they say, oh, he's going to write the books. I said, I don't read books except school books. So where does all that come from? There's no talk about being in some kind of lineage, it's as if it already happened. Yeah. And thus you have a premise for reincarnation. Yeah. Yeah. Reawakening. Yeah. Differently. Under other conditions, which has to do with the infinity, the infiniteness of the whole process. For the sake of other beings. It's all about other beings. It's all about all beings. How are you going to reach all beings unless all beings are expanding their intelligence to reach out to all beings and going beyond themselves in their boxes, or as Trungpa would say, their cocoons. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Transcendence, very important word. Important practice. Important step. Whether one is here or anywhere else, of their fancy or their privilege or of their karma or their destiny or preference. You learn what there is to learn. If there are books, you learn the books. In the traditions, you master the books, you memorize the books. It's like a classical school. And Buddhist school is classical school. So you know all the different angles properly. So where to go, where not to go, and so on. Reason why, you have all the reasonings, all the commentaries, all the counter commentaries, all the debates and all the rest of it. You have all of that. So, and you go, you approach the teacher, you talk to the teacher, depending on your motivation, and you say, hey, I studied this, is this right? Do I have it? And maybe the teacher would say, no way. Do it again. Go over it again. Read it again already, okay? And then get it. And then you come back and say, and it may take years before you actually get a little bit of what it is. But that's a process. Because then there comes a time when things are in alignment, because you're assuming the teacher's not an egomaniac, can be strong but not necessarily self-interested, but more interested in you than you. Yeah. And then the teacher gives you an answer. So, and then because you've gone through a certain process, say preparation, let's call it that, not even progression, but maybe something like that, then there's alignment. They say, boom. What you couldn't see, what you couldn't hear, what you didn't imagine, is boom, it's right there. And in my early days, on my pilgrimage, I remember being in ashrams and communities where people were saying things like, oh, I've been with this teacher for 50 years, and now I'm ready to try this. 50 years, that might be like a dot compared to others who may spend 50,000 years. And who knows on what planet, what dimension, for what teaching. See? Who knows this vast universe, and the teachings are continuous and all pervasive. The teachers are numerous. So if you're studying by the clock, you trash it. Let me put the hammer on. But that's not how you fly. Yeah. It's got to be thorough. It's got to be complete. As much as you're capable of getting into what it is that there is to learn, even when your mind tells you you can't learn it, especially when your mind says you can't learn it and you shouldn't learn it and you shouldn't read it, boom, you should break through that. Mm-hmm. You have to receive and give away. See? You receive it and give it. Yeah? Accumulate it and then let it go. See? It's just like eating and evacuating. You process it, and you need more, and that's what we're doing. We are breathing in and exhaling. The universe, the Dharma, in its psychic and subtle and inner sort of function. See? We're living. And when the heart is starting to resonate with the heart of the masters, then it's all about being good and goodness and being generous and gracious, right? And being strong, see? Being tough, being creative. And that's what the Dharma is about. See? An opportunity to recreate the universe in the light that's given to you through your realization or your enlightenment. So, oh, I need to do it this way. Do it that way. That's needed. That's what it's for. It's for the transmitting or passing on, see, the force and the creative intelligence to others, so that they can continue the process, extend it, see, but keep it pure. Always turn to the Guru, right? That means the humble one, right? And keep that humility as part of your practice. Openness, emptiness, radiance, fullness, enlightenment, ensoundment, all of it. Take it to heart. Hugh. Yeah, everything is already the path. See, it's all the paths. The Dharma, everything is already that, right? The Guru, the total, see, enlightenment. See, it's all that, not to realize it.